For 4 decades, the corporate campus in Redmond, Washington, functioned as the global capital of beige computing towers, pleated khakis, and software licensing agreements that read like Vogan poetry, meaning they were notoriously dense and painful to experience. They built a massive cloud infrastructure, but the user experience felt exactly like a drizzly Tuesday afternoon in Seattle. It was stable, but completely uninspiring. The symptoms of this brand failure were everywhere. The AZ-104 certification training acted as a digital sedative. Enterprise communication meant staring into the 720p pixelated void of a Teams meeting while coworkers forgot to unmute. Even the physical hardware was strictly utilitarian and aggressively gray. Then there was their original search engine, Bing, which saw its primary utility as a tool users opened exclusively to type in a download query for competing browsers. You can engineer a logically sound back-end architecture, but if the overarching vibe is tragically Microsoft, the infrastructure will fail to engage the people who actually use it. With usage numbers flatlining and the developer community treating their tools as a punchline, the board of directors concluded that standard corporate restructuring would fail. They began searching for a leader who could handle a much heavier lift. The requirements for the new chief executive were highly specific. They required a leader who understood high-stress environments, possessed unshakable stamina, and knew exactly how to handle incredibly demanding backends. They hired Carmella Bing. Her opening assessment to the engineers was blunt. They had great server racks, but absolutely no idea how to turn them on. When you need to teach millions of engineers how to properly provision a heavy load, you bring in an absolute professional to manage the process. This diagram illustrates the Azure Attractive Directory. It mandates a visual aesthetic check for every login, scrutinizing the layout of your deployment architecture. If your resource groups are sloppy, the system denies access. You are locked out until you clean up your act. Service-level agreements have also been rewritten to guarantee maximum uptime. The network does not go down unless you explicitly request it within your deployment template. To maintain this extreme physical endurance, server racks are heavily lubricated with advanced thermal paste. This specialized cooling method ensures the hardware stays hot without ever overheating during a sustained load. By integrating these foundational upgrades, the infrastructure shifts away from basic passive reliability and moves into high-endurance performance. Microsoft Defender's red teams, the internal analysts hired to breach their own systems, received a mandate to completely overhaul their penetration testing protocols. Analysts are now required to test your firewalls deeply, repeatedly, and from multiple attack vectors to ensure your network ports can handle the intrusion. Simultaneously, Bing personally took control of the Azure Masterclass Hub. The dense AZ-104 certification curriculum is now taught in a neon-lit, velvet-draped studio, specifically designed to hold an audience's undivided attention for 90 continuous minutes. This line chart tracks certification success over time. Following the masterclass integration, pass rates spiked by 4,000%. Rigorous dynamic intrusion testing paired with highly stimulating training materials creates a secure, fully engaged user base. To address the digital fatigue of standard corporate communication, teams rolled out a user experience update called After Hours Mode. Clicking the new BIM Lights button automatically applies a soft focus filter to the camera feed and shifts the user interface to a dark crimson red. While users wait in the lobby for the host to admit them, the application loops a subtle berry-white baseline to set the atmosphere. Modern business tools have to prioritize sensory experience. If the environment feels clinical, the audience checks out. The CEO's vision boils down to a very straightforward premise. Cloud computing exists to fulfill fantasies of infinite scalability and zero latency. Microsoft provides the bare metal. The leadership is there to show users exactly how to provision it right. To migrate a legacy infrastructure into this new environment, users first execute a terminal command to systematically strip out the old, boring dependencies. Finally, users install the new global package and run the initialization script to ensure their system clears the vibe check. The infrastructure is live. We encourage pull requests, push requests, and everything in between, as long as they remain consensual and properly documented.